Good day, and welcome to episode 5 of the Abstract Barcode podcast. I am your host, Christopher, where each and every weekday I bring you the news that you may not be aware of while commenting and criticizing on it to the best and worst of my ability. So, without further ado, let's get right into the news. First story comes from the independent.co.uk, stating Donald Trump gives rambling and incoherent explanation for claim Obama wiretapped his home. President refuses to back down on claim despite House Intelligence Committee revealing there is no evidence to support it. By Caroline Mortimer. Mortimer. That's a cool name, Mortimer. The article states Donald Trump has given a rambling explanation for his claim, suggesting the allegation first surfaced in the New York Times. He tweeted out that he, quote, just found out in his tweet that wires were tapped. And it initially appeared to have been based on an unfounded allegation by Breitbart. There's Breitbart again. A right-wing news website previously run by Mr. Trump's chief strategist, Stephen Bannon. But the article goes on to say, in an interview on Wednesday with Fox News, he suggested he first thought the former president was carrying out surveillance on... surveillance on Trump Tower after reading an article on the campaign in the New York Times about wiretapping, adding that Fox News anchor Brett Baier had, quote, mentioned it in a report. And he's getting his news from other places again, it seems. He said, quote, I've been reading about things. I read in, I think it was January 20, a New York Times article where they were talking about wiretapping. There's no end quote there. Why do people not put end quotes? Quote, I watched your friend, Brett Baier, the day previous, where he was talking about certain very complex sets of things happening. I've been seeing a lot of things, end quote. He did not elaborate on the claims. Did not provide evidence. Let's see. Quote, to do anything that's going to violate any strength of agency, end quote. He said they had, quote, enough problems, end quote, and that the CIA itself had been hacked during the Obama administration and had a lot of things taken. He claimed he had subsequently gathered, quote, a lot, end quote, of evidence, and some very interesting items are coming to the forefront over the next 2 weeks. Well, why can't they come out now? Huh? The article goes on to say, Devin Nunes, the Republican chairman of the Congressional Committee, said, quote, as I told you last week, in regard to the president talking about wiretapping, about tapping Trump Tower, that evidence still remains the same. We don't have any evidence, end quote. So, it just sounds like he got his news from another news source again. Which, it's kind of funny if everyone's laughing that, he gets his news from the news, like Fox News, CNN, whatever. They laugh at him. But when that news turns out to be false, they just laugh at him. They don't laugh at the news stations. So, people like to laugh at the president. I understand that. But when the news is giving bad news, you need to point the finger at them also. Let's see if there's any good comments. I don't see any good comments here. Brain fried by microwaves, says one person. Okay, next story comes from the BBC. BBC.com. And it is $3 million missile used to shoot down $200 drone by Chris Baranuk. Let's see. A Patriot missile, usually priced at about $3 million or 2.5 million pounds, was used to shoot down a small quadcopter drone, according to a U.S. general. Quote, that quadcopter that cost $200 from Amazon.com did not stand a chance against a Patriot missile, end quote, he said, by General David Perkins. Quote, now, that worked. They got it. Okay. We love Patriot missiles, end quote, the general said. Recently, there have been reports that some groups have taken to attaching weapons to small commercial drones and using them against security forces. Article goes on to state that it is, quote, enormous overkill, end quote. No further details of the encounter, such as where or how recently it took place, were given. Quote, it is clearly enormous overkill, end quote, said Justin Bronca, researcher at the Royal United Services Institute, whatever that is. Mr. Bronx also told BBC that Patriot radar systems, while sophisticated, might struggle to target a small quadcopter effectively. Well, apparently it can take it down. Oh, the missiles travel at 5 times the speed of sound. That's interesting. That is interesting, to say the least. Let's see. One of the comments says, there is very little information here. The drone may have been close enough to a military installation to appear as a legitimate threat. It is possible that they knew more or less what it was, didn't know its intention, and decided to shoot it. The commenter goes on to say, still, I prefer to imagine some kids just out there flying their drone and a huge missile knocks it out of the sky with a Mach 5 impact. Make it fly higher. Make it do a flip. Whoa, what was that? That's funny. Next story comes from New York Daily News. Judge makes it harder for White House to block journalists from future briefings. Because that's in regards to CNN and other, I think New York Times, but other news outlets being barred from White House press briefing one day. The article title is Judge Makes It Harder for White House to Block Journalists from Future Briefings by Victoria Bekimpus. It states, a Manhattan federal judge's opinion in a press access case might undermine future attempts by the White House to exclude certain media outlets from briefings. Quoting a previous court's decision, Judge Paul Otkin wrote Monday that the press should have equal access to official information to keep government officials from, quote, affecting the content or tenor of the news by choreographing which news organizations have access to relevant information, end quote. The judge also pointed out several court decisions that reaffirm equal access for political press. Quote, for example, it has been held impermissible to exclude a single television news network from live coverage of mayoral candidates' headquarters and to withhold White House press passes in a content-based or arbitrary fashion, the judge wrote, end quote. The judge's opinion, which stems from a civil lawsuit that a freelance photographer filed against the city after his New York Police Department issued press credentials were revoked, comes after White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer banned media outlets such as Daily News. Yep. So. And they got a weird picture of Sean Spicer to show how weird he is. Yeah. Let's see what some of the comments are. Top comment says, the administration is already trying to say ethic rules don't apply to them, so when will the announcement come that neither does case law? It'll apply. Just make it fair for everyone. Okay, next story comes from, oh, this is funny. Kinda. TheDenverChannel.com by Alex Hyder. McDonald's employee jumps through drive-thru window to save off-duty officer. And I hate autoplay. Why did it autoplay? I hate that. So, the article states, a McDonald's employee is being called a hero after he jumped through the restaurant's drive-thru window to assist an unconscious off-duty police officer as her vehicle rolled away. This person, Pedro, was working the drive-thru window at a McDonald's in Florida. He was ready to hand the food when he noticed she was breathing abnormally. That's when the woman, with her 2 children in the back, fell unconscious. Her foot slipped off the brakes, and the car began to roll forward. The guy then set the food down and basically went through the window. Pedro asked the children to call 911. Found 2 firefighters eating breakfast in the McDonald's, and an off-duty paramedic also ran to the rescue. The woman was rushed to the hospital, and yeah, so it sounds like she's okay. The police department doesn't want to talk about her condition, but it sounds like everything's fine. The guy did a good job jumping through a window to save a life. So good for him. Top comment is, several emergency responders at one McDonald's. Sounds about right. Source, I was an emergency responder. Another comment. Let's see. This is good. Is it just me, or is it surprising that a paramedic, cop, and 2 firefighters were at the same McDonald's at the same time? And someone responded to that. Sounds like the setup to a joke. Yep, it almost does sound like a setup to a joke. Next story comes from TheGuardian.com. New Zealand river granted same legal rights as human being. This is by Eleanor Roy. And a world first. A New Zealand river has been granted the same legal rights as a human being. My question is, what does that entail? A local tribe fought for this. Let's see. Hundreds of tribe representatives wept with joy when their bid to have their kin awarded legal status as living entity was passed into law. I guess they're saying the river. Quote, the reason we have taken this approach is because we consider the river an ancestor and always have, end quote. Quote, we have fought to find an approximation in law so that others can understand that from our perspective, treating the river as a living entity is the correct way to approach it. I still don't get it. It's just recognizing that a river is a person. Yeah, I just don't. I mean, cool, but why? Then again, it doesn't hurt anyone, so why not? If you drain the water out of it, does it mean you killed it? Oh, here. Top comment. If a person drowns in it, would it go to jail? If the river overturns my boat, can I sue it for damages? Another comment. Okay, so the river was not granted the same rights as a human being. The title is misleading. The river was granted rights specific to being a river, and there are some places in which those rights might overlap with similar rights we enjoy as people. While this may sound odd, it makes a lot of sense, and really this is just an extreme level of environment protectionism. Good. Not hurting anyone, so good. Next story comes from Fox News Insider. So foxnews.com. Man brutally assaulted at fast food eatery after offering to help pay for a meal. What? A man who offered to lend two men some cash to cover their meal at a Brooklyn eatery ended up I like how it says crazy video in the title also. Ended up beaten and robbed for trying to help. Earlier this month, a 37-year-old customer was sitting in a booth at a Texas Chicken and Burgers in Brooklyn. After two men walked into the restaurant, one of them loudly declared that no one would give him $1. The victim offered to help pay for their meal, but that just set off the attackers off. One of them replied, quote, I've got the money, end quote. And the man sitting in the booth was then told to mind your business. They then started punching the 37-year-old man, tried grabbing his cane. The victim swung his cane back, but suddenly three other men ran inside the restaurant and joined the beatdown, punching and kicking the victim in his head and body. After the assault, another man came into the restaurant and went through the prone and bleeding victim's pockets, apparently taking items before fleeing with the rest of the suspects. As the injured man lay on the ground, two customers apparently ordered dinner as if nothing had happened. That is sick. That is sick. Call 911. That is really sick. Man trying to do something good. comments say, that sounds more like a gang initiation. What do you mean? You mean they have to beat someone randomly to join a gang? Go into a place, complain loudly about not having money, beat up first person that offers to help you. The fact that 3 other people came in from nowhere shows it was planned. Another person, wow, I've never heard of this. So the fact he offers money means he has money and is likely kind or weak in their eyes. Another comment says, gang initiation. Wow. 6 sick people. Next story comes from Yahoo and is about Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer calls out journalists, thanks trolls over Netflix ratings drama. So, if no one knows, Amy Schumer had a Netflix special. The special was just released on Netflix, and this is by Taryn Ryder. So let's see what... I didn't like it, so I'll just say that before I read this. The article states, Amy Schumer sees you two trolls. The comedian has taken to Instagram to respond to the articles claiming viewers aren't happy with the leather special. The Trainwreck star's hour-long comedy special debuted last week on Netflix and has received nearly 1,000 ratings, many negative. That's startlingly high number for something that has only been available for streaming for a week. Well, it doesn't matter if it's new and it's advertised as on the main part. When you open up Netflix saying, hey, this is new, well, you might check it out. As The Wrap points out, that's more than double the number of views for Trevor Noah's special, Afraid of the Dark, which premiered February 21st. Kind of fishy, no? I watched that too, didn't care for it either. Article goes on, according to Schumer, the alt-right is behind the odd influx of reviews. Quote, I am so proud of my special and grateful to all the people spreading love online about it. I am the first female comic who is selling out arenas all over the world. I'm so grateful for that, end quote. She goes on to say, I am embarrassed for the, quote, journalist who report on trolls' activities as if it's news. It's indicative of administration right now, end quote. Schumer then posted a screenshot saying alt-right Redditors have tanked Amy Schumer's Netflix ratings for the leather special. Quote, anyone who reported that viewers aren't happy with my special, it would have been cool if you did a moment of research before posting. The alt-right organization trolls the alt-right organized trolls attack everything I do. They organize to get my ratings down, meeting in subreddit rooms. They tried on my book and movies and TV show, and I want to thank them. It makes me feel so powerful and dangerous and brave, end quote. Let's see. Quote, it fills me with hope and power to see you all furiously posting. So as always, accuse me of whatever lies you want. Call me a whale, call me a thief, and I will continue to rise and fight and lead. I know who I am. I am strong and beautiful, and I will use my voice my whole time on this earth. Journalists do better. It's embarrassing. Trolls, see you on the next one. End quote. That's what she says. Maybe people just don't like it. Ever think of that? Where's this proof on Reddit? to say and go give it low ratings. I don't see any proof here. I mean, I didn't think it was funny. I watched it, the whole thing. Just bad. I wouldn't even call them jokes, but they weren't funny. I wasn't offended, but it wasn't funny. Yeah. Let's see what some people say. Number one comment. One of the biggest sins in comedy is stealing other people's jokes. What's even worse is when you tell them really, really badly. Like Amy does. In response to that, someone said, I think it was Joe Rogan who said he's not even sure she's maliciously stealing jokes. It's just that her jokes are so boring and unoriginal that somebody must have thought of them by now. Burn. Shots fired. Call 911. Wow. That's funny. Wow. Another comment says, politics aside, I watched this on Netflix. It has its funny moments, but most of the show is sexual, which is true. Self-deprivation, which is what she always does. That's true also. It's funny at first, but after a while, it's a rehash of the same stuff, a la Adam Sandler. Get new material, Amy. Another comment says, she needs to wait for other comics to come out with new material first. Yeah, that's funny. Let's see. Oh, apparently her uncle is Charles Schumer. Someone says, came here to write that exactly. I'm a liberal. I don't like Schumer because she steals jokes, so I refuse to watch her stuff. That's it. No conspiracy. She's a cheater, stealing creative material. What is that sound? Someone said, bite my shiny metal ass, Amy. Another comment. This is pretty low of her. Her new special is not good at all, and Netflix ratings show that. Sorry about it. I mean, everyone's got an opinion. I didn't like it. That's my opinion. I didn't give it 1 star. I didn't give it 2 stars. But, or did I? I don't know. I don't even remember. That's how unmemorable it was. It's just not good. Okay, next story. Pregnant Texas woman killed by train during photo shoot. What? And now my dog's barking. Go get it. This comes from FoxNews.com. They got it from New York Post. A pregnant Texas teen was fatally struck by a train on Friday while posing on the railroad tracks for modeling photos. And she was 19 years old. 2 trains approached the railroad crossing from opposite directions. She tried to cross the tracks to dodge one train, but was hit by the other one coming from the other direction. How slow do you have to be? And I'm sure you can hear the train. Her friend who was taking photos for the shoot was unharmed. Wow, that's a sad story, but if you play by train tracks, well, you might get hit by a train. That's the equivalent of taking photos in the middle of the road. Might be an empty road, but car might come around the corner. You never know. Top quote or top comment says, the person we should be feeling bad for is the engineer. I know a couple of guys who have hit people and it just ruins them. Another comment, yeah, poor girl, but you really should not do photo shoots on a railroad that is still in use. Exactly. Yes, thank you. Someone said, I don't think that's the real problem. It's basically impossible to not know a train is coming when you're outside. Maybe y'all city slickers don't see that many freight trains, but shockingly, they're pretty loud. That just kind of contradicts what the person just... whatever. Yeah, don't play by train tracks. Yeah. And that's it. My throat hurts. My throat really hurts. It burns. Stupid weather. Doesn't know if it wants to be hot or cold or spring, summer, winter, whatever. But my allergies are killing me. So that's it. That's it for today. Or for this episode. I will talk to you all next time. Good night and good luck.